Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air in the West. After decades in prison, a parole board decision on Erik Menendez. The news just coming in, the Menendez brothers behind bars for more than 3 decades for the shotgun murders of their parents. Tonight, what we've just learned about their push for freedom. Matt Gutman with late word on the case. The dramatic video just coming in, SWAT teams moving in on the campus of Villanova University after reports of an active shooter on the first day of orientation. Aaron Katersky with late reporting what officials are now saying about what happened. Hurricane Erin lashing the East Coast, flood alerts from the Carolinas up to the Northeast. Massive waves crashing into homes, surging over dunes. Beaches now shut down on a major week for summer vacations. Our weather team standing by with the latest track. Developing in the West tonight, a deadly accident out of Colorado dairy. What we just learned. Tonight, the Kremlin all but rules out a face-to-face meeting between President Zelenskyy and Vladimir Putin anytime soon, despite the promise the White House says Putin made to President Trump as Russia ramps up attacks on Ukraine. The mid-air scare on a Delta flight when passengers look out the window and see a piece of the wing dangling during landing. President Trump celebrates a major legal victory in a civil fraud case when an appeals court just ruled. A new era for sports fans and our friends at ESPN. How you can find all of your favorite content all in one place. The daring effort to locate and save a missing hiker stranded on a remote Alaskan cliff. And America strong tonight. 2 teachers' families, their unbreakable bond thanks to one selfless act.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening as we come on the air in the West, and thanks so much for joining us on this busy Thursday night. I'm Rachel Scott in for David. We will have the latest on the active shooter scare at Villanova University in just a moment. But we do begin tonight with breaking news. A major turn in that case that has made national headlines for decades. More than 35 years after murdering their parents, Lyle and Erik Menendez getting their first chance at parole today. Late word just coming in on the case a short time ago. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman leads us off tonight.
Tonight, that crushing defeat for Erik Menendez, his bid for parole rejected by a California parole board. Erik and Lyle have been behind bars for decades for the shotgun murders of their parents, Kitty and Jose, 36 years and a day ago. And in a marathon session via video link, the now 54-year-old grilled about the savage murders of his parents in their Beverly Hills mansion. And just as he had claimed in that first trial,
my dad had been molesting me.
Erik Menendez said they killed after years of sexual abuse by their father. Fear was driving me to that den. Our lives were in extreme danger immediately. And once they broke the secret of that abuse, they said they feared their father would kill them. And when asked why he killed his mother, Erik described feeling betrayed when he learned she knew about the abuse for years. I saw my mother and my father as one person after I learned that she knew. So when I was running into the den, I was in a state of terror, of panic, of rage. A parole member telling Erik he understands the concept of the learned helplessness for sexual abuse victims, but that same member excoriated Erik's record for being replete with diverse violations, including violence, manipulation, misuse of things. You have criminal acts. And the commissioners hammering Erik about his serial use of illicit cell phones in prison, one noting the violation would have required a prison guard to smuggle it in and likely have benefited a prison gang which taxed the import of the phone. Erik admitting he'd paid $1,000 for one of the phones, saying, "I really became addicted to the phones. You're doing life without parole. This is not really harming anyone." But that all changed after that Netflix series Monsters triggered an avalanche of new support.
This is done. This is done. You understand?
Spurring the former DA to call for the brothers' release.
I believe that they have paid their debt to society.
Erik telling the board today, in November of 2024, now the consequences mattered. Now the consequences meant I was destroying my life. The hearing's final words left for the victim's family, in this case, also the brothers' family. 18 of them speaking on the brothers' behalf, including Jose Menendez's sister, Trevor Ault, battling stage 4 cancer. We spoke with her in April.
You've held your silence for 35 years?
It's a whole branch of my family erased. The ones that are gone and the ones that are still paying for it, which were kids.
And today, speaking rapidly, almost out of breath, she made her plea calling Erik a sweet, gentle soul who deserved to be protected from his father and has repeatedly, over the past 35 years, asked her forgiveness. "I want to make it clear," she told the commissioners, "that although I love my brother, I have fully forgiven Erik." But in the end, those pleas weren't enough. Deliberations, Rachel, lasted about 9 hours, but it took only minutes for that parole board to come to its conclusion. Now, tomorrow, Lyle is up. It's a different set of commissioners, same process, and we expect tomorrow to also be a very long day. Rachel.
Matt Gutman with this breaking news. All right, Matt, thanks. Next tonight, with millions of students returning to college across the country, a chaotic scene unfolding late today at Villanova University, just outside Philadelphia. Reports of an active shooter during the first day of freshman orientation. Heavily armed officers swarming the campus, searching for the gunman. The school put on lockdown, students urged to shelter in place. But just moments ago, officials at Villanova now calling this a cruel hoax. And there were scares on 2 other college campuses today. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Erik Katersky.
Tonight, fear and chaos as school begins at Villanova University outside Philadelphia, one of the nation's best-known Catholic schools. Police searched the campus but found no victims.
There was never an active shooter on the campus, and we are going to conduct a full investigation.
Panicked students seen running and ducking for cover after the university warned of an active shooter at the law school. Police pouring into the campus on orientation day. Heavily armed officers, long guns drawn, entering buildings, clearing classrooms. The alert came around 4:30 in the afternoon. Students and faculty cell phones blaring a warning of a possible active shooter. The message instructing everyone to shelter in place, move to a secure location, and lock and barricade doors.
Surround the Villanova Law School.
Warning specifically to stay clear of the law school's Scarpa Hall. Canine units and columns of officers armed with rifles moving in.
Everybody use caution around the windows. Subject on the 2nd floor.
Police escorting students out. Yesterday was move-in day. Villanova posting this video on social media. Some 1,800 students and their families on campus when the alert sounded. A welcome mass for the freshman class and their families was being held at the time. Worried parents were separated from their children.
Getting that text message was surreal, and thank God no one's hurt.
Again, Rachel, there was no shooting, there were no victims, but you saw the overwhelming police response to what Villanova now calls a cruel hoax. Tonight, police are investigating who did it because it's a serious crime. Rachel?
Yeah, just terrifying moments for those students. All right, Erik Katersky with this breaking news. Aaron, thank you. We move on now to Hurricane Erin battering the East Coast from the Carolinas to the Northeast. The massive storm, now a Category 2 hurricane and only growing in size. The latest path shows Erin running along the coast, about to make its next move. Winds up to 100 miles per hour, waves up to 20 feet, and dangerous rip currents. Those waves bashing North Carolina's Outer Banks, where a state of emergency remains in place. The surf running through beachfront properties. The storm now stirring up dangerous waves in the Northeast. Surfers flocking to New York City's Rockaway Beach. Flood alerts now reaching into New England. The forecast in just a moment, but first, here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Tonight, 20-foot waves turning life-threatening surf. Flooded roadways, the images still coming in as Hurricane Erin carves up the East Coast like a buzzsaw. In Hatteras, the dunes lining Highway 12, no match for Erin's relentless surge. The man shooting this video scrambling to safety as waves crash over, inundating that main route along the Outer Banks. The storm bashing the coast all night long, wind whipping on this pier in Nags Head as people come out to see the awesome power of the ocean. Erin seen here on satellite, massive, more than 700 miles across. And it's bringing massive swells along hundreds of miles of coastline, from Florida to New England. On New York's Long Island, waves up to 16 feet. Swimmers banned from all New York City beaches, but that didn't stop surfers from taking advantage of massive waves that look more like Hawaii than Rockaway Beach.
The surf's a lot bigger, the current's really strong. It's, very big swell. At least double triple the size that it normally is.
Our Ginger Z is on the Jersey Shore.
Here in Manasquan, down the shore in New Jersey, the sea foam is kicking. We're getting sandblasted. The waves easily 8 to 10 feet. But by tonight, it will be even closer. The big bulldoze of water toward the shore. And that's why the concern for homes there without any dune in front of them.
New Jersey's governor declaring a state of emergency for all 21 counties. And Rachel, we're certainly feeling it here on Rockaway Beach. Of course, the winds are whipping, but the waves are the big story. You can see those massive waves crashing onto the shore, also hitting that lifeguard stand as well. And look, we know it's only expected to get worse as high tide approaches. Beaches once again closed again tomorrow, Rachel.
All right, Morgan Norwood, thank you. So let's get right to meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our New York station, WABC. Danny, time this one out for us.
Rachel, Hurricane Erin still a Category 2 with max sustained wind of 100 miles per hour as that northeast turn begins. But significant impacts are still expected up and down the East Coast, even as Erin pulls away. Right now, the center about 375 miles east-northeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. But this large hurricane is bringing widespread impacts. Tropical storm warnings remain in effect from the Outer Banks to coastal Virginia, and coastal flood alerts from the Carolinas to Maine, where several feet of inundation is possible during high tide, even into tomorrow. The wind helping to push that water on shore as gusts continue 30 to 45 miles per hour tonight from the Outer Banks to Cape Cod, contributing to the flood threat and coastal erosion. The wind relaxes as Erin pulls away, but this is such a large storm system that it will take days for the water to settle. High surf advisories posted up and down the East Coast for waves up to 20 feet on Friday, and in some cases into Saturday, especially in the Northeast. The risk for life-threatening rip currents continues from Florida to Maine. And while the improving weather conditions make it look like beach weather, it's so important to remember life-threatening conditions in the water up and down the East Coast. Rachel, back to you.
Yeah, that threat stretching to the weekend. All right, Danny, thank you. We turn now to a disturbing discovery on a dairy farm in Colorado. Authorities responding to an emergency call, finding the bodies of 6 farm workers. Here's ABC's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, authorities making a tragic discovery at a dairy farm in northern Colorado.
I'm on scene, unconscious victims approximately 12 feet down with possible high levels of H2S and unknown gases.
First responders arriving at the scene outside Boulder around 6 p.m. Wednesday for what they called a confined space rescue, instead finding the bodies of 6 workers.
You can go ahead and stand down the chopper.
It's not yet clear what exactly the victims were doing at the time of their deaths, but authorities are calling this a dairy accident. In a statement tonight, the Dairy Farmers of America says in part, "We are deeply saddened by this incident, and our thoughts and most sincere condolences go out to the friends and families of the deceased."
And Rachel, authorities say this was not a criminal incident, and OSHA is now investigating. Rachel?
Trevor, thank you. President Trump's efforts to end the war in Ukraine now hitting a setback. The president signaled a meeting between President Zelenskyy and Vladimir Putin could happen within a couple of weeks. But tonight, Russia is suggesting that meeting won't be happening anytime soon. Here's ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
Today, Russia all but ruled out a meeting between President Putin and President Zelenskyy anytime soon. This after the White House said Putin promised President Trump that the meeting would happen in a matter of weeks.
Did Putin promise to do a meeting with Zelenskyy, a direct meeting, in the coming weeks?
He has.
Overnight, Vice President J.D. Vance said a Zelenskyy-Putin meeting should take place even if there is no agreement on the terms of a peace deal.
I think the president's preference and my preference would be, let's have them meet regardless. We shouldn't say that they can't sit down until you've figured out every little detail. Sometimes them sitting down is what facilitates figuring out those details.
But hours after Vance said that, Russia flatly rejected the idea. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov saying the only way Putin would sit down with Zelenskyy is if, quote, all issues requiring consideration at the highest level are thoroughly worked out first. Lavrov suggests that would require a long process of lower-level meetings to hammer out the details. Meanwhile, Russia continues to bombard Ukraine, launching more than 600 drone and ballistic missile attacks in just the last 24 hours, according to the Ukrainian Air Force. Zelenskyy said today Moscow's strategy is clear. Quote, they are trying to wriggle out of the need to hold a meeting. They do not want to end this war. Today, President Trump was asked if a peace deal is still possible.
I would say within 2 weeks we're going to know one way or the other. And after that, we'll have to maybe take a different tack. But we'll see. But we'll know pretty soon.
So let's get right to John Karl. He joins us live from the White House. And John, the White House says Putin agreed any peace deal would include security guarantees for Ukraine. But what are the Russians saying about that?
Well, Rachel, the Russians are saying that Russia would have to have a say in those security guarantees for Ukraine, an idea that is seen as absurd because the whole point of the security guarantees is to protect Ukraine from another Russian invasion. Rachel?
John, thank you. Tonight, a major legal victory for President Trump. A New York appeals court throwing out the massive $515 million penalty in the state's fraud case against him. The court allowing the conviction against him to stand, but saying the dollar amount was excessive. The president calling it a total victory. It comes more than a year after the president, his eldest sons, and his business were found liable for inflating the value of his real estate assets. The New York Attorney General says she plans to appeal. We learned today that Evangelical leader James Dobson has died. He was the polarizing founder of Focus on the Family and the Family Research Council, a vocal opponent of abortion, same-sex marriage, and LGBTQ rights. He advised 5 presidents, wrote dozens of books, and had millions of followers. James Dobson was 89. When we come back, the alarming sight for passengers on board a Delta plane as the 737 came in for landing, part of the wing flap dangling, and the daring efforts to locate and rescue an injured hiker on the side of an Alaskan cliff. Details ahead. Next tonight, the FAA is investigating a Delta flight that landed with a damaged wing flap. Passengers spotted the problem as they were still in the air, the wing flap dangling as the 737 landed in Austin on Tuesday. It had taken off from Orlando. No one was hurt, and the plane landed without incident. Delta says the plane has been taken out of service for maintenance. And a dramatic rescue off a cliff in Alaska. A Coast Guard helicopter located a stranded hiker using a powerful searchlight and guidance from first responders. The hiker had fallen off a trail and was unable to signal for help, the crew hoisting the hiker to safety, rushing him to the hospital. And when we come back, we go inside the exciting new way to get all your sports news in one place from our friends at ESPN. And the image is just in, a runaway front loader barreling through a busy Massachusetts intersection. Details ahead on what happened. To the index now, the police chief in Milford, Massachusetts says it's a miracle no one was killed. A 60,000-pound front-end loader barreling through traffic after its brakes failed, taking out a traffic sign and clipping an SUV before hitting a guardrail and a pole before coming to a complete stop. No one was injured.